Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh inside of the Beltway and Studio Beltway. Good Wednesday afternoon to you if you're in the Beltway, or lunchtime if you're on the West Coast, or evening if you're listening in Israel. I'm so glad you're with me. I was out late last night. Fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I caught the Five for Fighting concert inside the Beltway last night. Now, for those of you who don't know, the music you just heard, the bump music, is Five for Fighting, John Ondrasik, and he's on tour, although the tour wrapped up last night, with his string quartet, and they do fall and spring small venue tours with the string quartet, and then he does big venues in the summer with his rock and roll band. But whenever Five for Fighting and John come to the Beltway, it's kind of like a Hogwarts ball for people who love freedom. John's nonpartisan. He's not a Republican or a Democrat. He's very pro-American troops. He's performed for our troops all over the world. He is very, very much a supporter of our allies. He worked closely with people like former Congressman and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz and Senator Joni Ernst to get tens of thousands of our allies out of Afghanistan after the collapse in 2021. He has been to the Ukraine and the Ukraine airport. Ukraine has a major airport where the formerly largest operating plane in the world was, that Putin destroyed in an attempt to break the will of the Ukrainian people. John went there and performed. John has performed in Hostage Square, and freedom people, we like him. Now, John's been our friend, Dwayne and my friend, and Adam's for, 20 years. And so it's not new to us. He's a great musician. And most of America knows him from 100 Years and Superman, the concert for New York, and Chances. And he's got a bunch of hits and a lot of great music. And he performs so well. He's a fabulous performer. But he really is, whenever he comes to the Beltway, it's sort of like Hogwarts ball. Even Snape was there. Larry O'Connor was there. And so if Snape shows up, the rest of the people are there. And I'm not going to run down the roster except to say I have never said I can play better than John Roberts. Never have I said that. John Roberts of Fox News picked up his axe last night and joined John and Five for Fighting for a couple of numbers. Joni Ernst got up and sang World with John Ondrasik, and she's got pipes. And the concert was just fabulous and great fun. And, I'm so used to seeing people in a little square on the Salem News Channel that, it's really shocking to see Bethany and Seth Mandel and Mark Thiessen and Danny Pletka and lots of other people who are guests on this program frequently, but they're all freedom folk. It's not partisan. We're pro-freedom, and we're pro the American military and the American defense budget. But I got to say, I was very moved when John, in the middle of the show, said, all right, let me tell you a story about Superman. Of course, John performed Superman at the concert for New York after 9/11, almost 25 years ago. And it has become a totem for people who are getting up off their back and carrying loads for firefighters and first responders and police who rush to the tower, for the Ukrainians who rushed to the front lines, for everybody who helped our Afghan allies get out after the collapse, and most recently, for the hostages who John never forgets. So he remastered Superman. I'm going to play the video for you here and play a little bit of the audio for you so you can remember what it is for Alon Ohel last night. He had remastered it earlier with the guidance and help of Alon's mother and brother. And in Hostage Square, there is a yellow piano.
All the hostages and their families, may they be home soon.
If you're watching on the Salem News Channel, John is performing both in studio and in connection with the Ohel family as they played at Alon's piano in the Hostage Square. It was very moving last night because it's pretty easy to forget this war does not have to go on one more day. Keep playing it. I want people to see it. You can both listen and watch it if you're on the Salem News Channel. The deal is People are tired of war, and nobody wants innocent Gazans to suffer. But they won't surrender. They're defeated, but they won't surrender because they built their superstructure. And I had lunch today with Rabbi Stuart Weinblatt. And it's off the record lunch, but he is the founder of the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition. And we met by unusual circumstances. And we were talking about how the American Jewish community has been very solid throughout, but it's very hard to find anyone who actually speaks for them or can with authority address the complexities of Israeli politics. And I don't get it. And Netanyahu, the prime minister, had a press conference today. He said, first of all, our conditions for Gaza are the Trump plan. And secondly, he rejects the Supreme Court's ruling, and he rejects the Attorney General. Again, it's not my country, it's not my Supreme Court, it's not my Attorney General, but she does seem to me to be a narcissist. And the Israeli Supreme Court seems to me to be out of control, completely out of control, and desperate. And Netanyahu did win. And he's balancing the lives of 20 hostages. Keep playing that, would you? It's not over yet. And that's Alon Ohel, if you're watching on the Salem News Channel. That's him playing his own piano. So when John played this last night, I thought to myself, when was the last time you saw an American musician step up other than John? John referenced the fact that there was an anti-Israel throwdown at Coachella, and there was no blowback from the industry. It was a racist, absolutely anti-Semitic throwdown. And Israel was invaded. Can we just remember the facts? Israel was invaded on 10/7. 1,200 people were massacred. 250 people were taken hostage. And they're still there. There's still 20 people. The war can be over tomorrow. Could have been over a year ago. But I speculated today, talking to the rabbi, part of the problem may be Sinwar was a psychopath and DF was a psychopath. So Hamas was run by, A-level psychopath, genius psychopaths. And Israel killed them all. And then they wiped out the second line. They're down to Mohammed Sinwar, who's like the C team, the little brother who gets to play because big brother is LeBron, and the LeBron of terrorists. And then he gets killed. I don't think they have anyone to deal with. And this is going to end with Hamas fleeing in disarray. And Israel's going to reoccupy all of Gaza, and that's all there is to it. It's going to be like Judea and Samaria. It's going to be occupied until the world agrees on what to do, and that will be up to the Arab world, to the progressive leaders in the Arab world, and they do exist, like MBZ and MBS was coming around, to take ownership of that and help rebuild it. But I was very glad to hear someone in America, a culture leader, and that's John, stand up and just say, hey, we can't forget these hostages and the industry which prides itself on being activist and prides itself on being at the front. And if you were a kid in the 60s and the 70s, that really resonates. Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Adam, if you can pull that up. That's all about Kent State. So every musician had a position on Vietnam. And then every musician had a position on starvation in Africa. And every musician had a position on everything until Israel's invaded and it's Jews getting slaughtered and it's the Holocaust 2.0. And Hamas would have killed not only 1,200 or 12,000, but 120,000. All right, this is the tradition in which John worked. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, doing an activist song when they feel called to it. And that's not unusual, and it's perfectly okay. I've never been part of the shut up and sing crowd. You can have your political opinions, left, right, or center. I just don't understand how an entire industry can fall silent. I also don't understand why the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition only has 1,000 affiliates. They've only been around for a couple of years, and Rabbi Weinblatt's doing great work. But I hope if you're a rabbi or a friend of a rabbi, you go find the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition, because it got started in a very unusual way, and the rabbi can tell you about it. It's not my faith, it's not my country, but I do believe we all have a interest in basic human rights like getting the hostages out, and we forget that too often. Trump doesn't, America doesn't, and Trump told the Gulf Cooperation Council last week, release the hostage is the first step towards peace. He's right. Don't forget that. I'll be right back with more news of the day on the Hugh Hewitt Show.